There's something even more powerful than stepping out of your comfort zone. And it's something that I recently found that completely has transformed the way I show up in the world, the way that I expand my sense of self, and really for me becoming the ideal highest vibrational version of me. This is something we normally aren't taught. It's something that is the exact, not the opposite, but it's a different way of understanding something that we've always been told. And this one little switch, this one little way of thinking about it differently may make all the change in the world for you. And it has to do with understanding our own sense of comfortability, stepping out of our comfort zone, but actually doing something entirely different. And I remember back in 2017, when I first started making YouTube videos, I wanted to get more comfortable with making YouTube videos. So something that I did is, I remember at the time I was feeling very self-conscious because I was making videos at my dad's house. So this channel has come a long time, podcast channel's come a long time over the last like 3 to 4 years, because I started out in my dad's house, sleeping in a little office. I had like this huge, there's like this, there's bookshelves and stuff, and there was a little twin-size bed that I slept on. I wasn't able to make like videos in that room. I think I made one video in that room, but it was too cluttered and there was no space. So then I started making videos in my sister's room. And my sister liked the fact that I made videos in her room, but my dad did not, because my dad was always on my sister for cleaning her room. It's like, Lizzie, you got to clean your room. You got to clean your room. You got to clean your room. It was somewhat clean, but one of her excuses, or I don't know what it was, but if I was in there making videos and it got in the way of him being able to tell my sister to clean her room. So he'd get mad at me for making videos in her room. So eventually I started making videos by the pool in the backyard. So then I'm making videos in the pool in the backyard, and I'm feeling all this resistance because my dad can hear me through that of the, like I know he can hear me if he's watching TV or he's in the dining room. He can hear me and what I'm talking about. And here I am talking about the law of attraction, spiritual awakening, esoteric ideas that I didn't feel like my dad was necessarily comfortable with. And I was feeling very self-conscious of. So I remember I'd get in front of the camera, I'd have the pool behind me, I'd have the camera here, and I'd have neighbors on each side that I'm pretty sure could hear me too. So I've got this fear that all these people that are surrounding me can hear me talking, and I definitely talk loud. So it was bringing a lot of like that self-consciousness up. Like I was feeling very self-conscious. I was feeling a lot of blocks. I realized how much I really cared what other people thought. And especially, it's not even really so much caring just about what other people think, but it's caring about people that you know and love and are around a lot think. I remember even on Instagram, when my Instagram started to grow, it got to like, this is like years ago, I think it got to like 30,000 followers. And I realized that I was holding myself back from sharing things I really wanted to talk about because of the 400 people that I followed that were friends from high school and things like that. And I was afraid of what they would think of me. So I'm in a way neglecting the 29,500 people that would love whatever I have to share because it's esoteric and that's why they follow me. But I'm just thinking about the little bit of people that actually know me from high school and what do they think? And I realized how much I had this block. So one day what I did is, while I was living at my dad's house, making the videos in the backyard, I had a choice. I said, you know what? I'm going to step out of my comfort zone. I'm going to break out of it. So what I did is, living in Las Vegas, I took my camera, I took a tripod, and I had like this, selfie stick. I walked around the Las Vegas Strip making esoteric videos with that and like the mic on it and everything. And I'm walking around in front of the Bellagio with the water show going on. I'm talking about like law of attraction. And back in the day, the law of attraction was esoteric. Back in 2017, there were only maybe 2 other creators making videos on the law of attraction. And so for me to be talking about this stuff, especially in public, it was kind of embarrassing. And I remember that the most embarrassing part wasn't me walking in front of the Bellagio water show. It was me going and starting to walk inside. I went into the Caesar Forum Shop. The Caesar's Forum Shops are like indoors. So all of a sudden, instead of me being outside where it's really loud and people can hardly hear me anyways, all of a sudden, I go into the Caesar Forum Shops and my voice is echoing. There's people that are kind of like, I can now start to see people's responses more. And that even brought up more stuff. But then eventually what I realized is it doesn't really matter. I eventually realized that most people are in their own train of thought thinking about themselves. And it started to also reframe the way that I saw myself. I started to realize that it doesn't matter what other people think, but like making videos, this is who I am. I started to accept that more within myself. And then the next day, I felt kind of alive because I stepped outside of my comfort zone. But then what I did is the next day I go back to my dad's house or where I'm living, and I start the video, and I'm like, all right, guys, welcome back to another video. My name's Aaron, and I help people expand their consciousness. And it was like there was something inside where I wasn't as attached. So stepping out of the comfort zone was key to me getting into the new. And now you say, well, Aaron, in this video topic, you said stop. You said stop stepping out of your comfort zone and instead do this. What is this? I've already been listening for a couple of minutes. So when it comes to stepping outside your comfort zone, when you step out of your comfort zone, you're not stepping out of your comfort zone because if you step out of your comfort zone, it will give you success. It's not about stepping outside your comfort zone. It's about expanding your comfort zone and bringing it into your new sense of identity. I'm going to say that again. This is not about stepping out of your comfort zone because then you're implying that imagine you have a circle that you draw on the ground that says on the inside comfort zone. You stay in that comfort zone. Oh my goodness, so warm. Feels so good over here. Oh my gosh, this is what I've always known. It's so autopilot. I just wake up. It's like being in a warm bubble bath. It's not extreme cold or hot. It's just a warm, nice bubble bath that feels safe. This is what I've always known. The 9-to-5 job I have, yeah, I didn't enjoy it, but guess what? It was like a warm bubble bath. I didn't have to question my reality. Someone told me what to do. I had the certainty of a paycheck every 2 weeks. I didn't like it, but it was warm bubble bathy. But then what happens is imagine that outside that comfort zone, you have something that says like the unknown, the unknown. Now what happens is when you step into the unknown, you start to then go, oh, this is kind of uncomfortable. I don't know how I feel right now. This feels a little bit weird. But then you go back into your comfort zone. That's stepping out of your comfort zone and going back. No big changes. What you want to do is you want to expand your comfort zone by realizing that it becomes a part of who you are. That you are somebody that naturally steps outside your comfort zone and then your zone expands. So I didn't step outside the comfort zone to make that one video, and then I went back to an old sense of me making 9-to-5, working my 9-to-5 job and being afraid of what other people thought. I expanded my sense of self. I realized this is who I really am. This is how I prefer to be. And this makes all the difference in the world because what we're focusing on now is we're focusing on our identity. We get in life not necessarily just what we want, because what we want is fleeting. We always want more. We always want more. We get in life a reflection of who we are. We get in life a direct reflection of who we are. And if we are being in a very small comfort zone, and that is who we are, then our life will be very limited. The more you can step out of your comfort zone and then expand your comfort zone, which is the main part of this that makes all the difference. And I'm going to share with you different ways and techniques and tricks for you to expand your comfort zone that will completely change your life. When you look back 6 months to a year from now, you'll see, oh yeah, that one thing I learned changed everything. And this was a game changer when I also even just started on YouTube. I started making videos on YouTube. I went daily on YouTube. And I started to see myself differently. I went from a 9-to-5 job goer selling women's shoes to starting to see myself as somebody that makes videos every day. It's literally like the YouTuber identity became who I was. And people say, the funny thing is when you expand your circle, it becomes natural for you. Even then, people were saying, how do you make videos every single day on YouTube? Well, it's actually easy. The only hard part was the first 2-3 weeks. Because it's like I'm getting used to a new habit. But then it locked in and it's like I get up every morning, I meditate, I go to work. At the time I did have a 9-to-5 job. I would eat right when I woke up, because just before I did intermittent fasting. I'd go to work. I'd complain with other workers about how slow it is, like whatever it is, whatever my thoughts, my emotions, my actions were equal to that reality. And that was on autopilot. But the other aspect of it that I brought in is I do all that, plus I make a video every single day, no matter what. It's just a part of my identity. It's easy for me to do because it is who I am. And what happened is, as I started to be that version of me, and I started to just do it, it was easy. It was easy. Going to the gym is not hard. Going to the gym for the first 2 weeks may be challenging, but after those 2 weeks, it's easy. It's a part of who you are. You won't be able to not go to the gym 3 times a week or whatever it is, because you'll feel weird if you don't. If I don't go to the gym for a week, I got sick like weeks ago, like a month ago, where all I could do was watch Game of Thrones, okay? I literally had no energy. I was sore. Got the thing that everyone, that if you say, it just completely screws with the algorithm. But I got that like about a month ago. And that was a very interesting experience because it literally forced me just to chill out and relax. And then I was like, the main reason I never started the show Game of Thrones was because I knew that if I started it, I would have to like binge it and finish it. Well, guess what? I'm on season 7. The last episode of season 7, I got one more season after this. I've flew past like through this, but and that's a lot of hours. I mean, they're like hour-long episodes, like, was it like 80 hours or something of TV? and I knew it was like lower vibrational thing where there's like things going on, but it's super addicting. But anyways, I got that thing. So what I decided to do is I can't really do much else. I couldn't go to the gym. It was like painful not to go to the gym. But I didn't have energy anyway, so all I did was watch Game of Thrones for like a week straight. After 3-4 days, I started getting better, and everything's honky-dory now. But the reason I say that is because once it becomes a part of your identity, it is easy to do. And the way that you do this, the way that you bridge this may also really simplify things, is you realize that there's an old self and a new self. You could say it's the past self and the future self, or the current self. These are just terms we're using for convenience sake. But imagine how you think, feel, and act makes up your vibration. How you think, feel, act makes up your vibration. Now imagine that the version of you that's working a 9-to-5 job, that's maybe in an unhappy relationship or unhealthy dynamics, your thoughts are equal to that reality, your emotions are equal to the reality, and your actions are equal to that reality. And then there's an ideal version of you that is thinking, feeling, and acting equal to your dream reality. Maybe you're in the perfect relationship. Maybe you're doing what you love for a living. Maybe you own your own art gallery studio. Maybe you make videos like I do. I don't know. Maybe you're just working a job that you really are passionate about. Whatever it is, that version of you thinks, feels, and acts differently than this version of you. And even beyond that, by the way, thinking, feeling, acting makes up your vibration. So stepping out of your comfort zone is simply about realizing, and then what you do is you're expanding it, is about realizing how you think, feel, and act is on autopilot. So you just want to do everything you can to stay consistent to that because that feels safe. Expanding your comfort zone means that you realize that feeling safe and being in the autopilot is only going to give you more of your current reality. So sometimes you got to get a little bit of pain or pleasure that then moves you into making a new choice about who you are. And a lot of this comes down to, how do you see yourself? I saw myself as a 9-to-5 job goer. A lot of this was subconscious. But you literally make a new choice about who you are. And it's that simple. It's that simple. You make a new choice about who you are, and then you follow that up. But some of this also means breaking down the belief that who you were in the past is who you are. Who you were in the past is simply what you've agreed to. It's simply what you've allowed to be the norm. And when you change that, you then change how you show up. When I first read it, I've told this story a lot, I know. Forgive me. But Psycho-Cybernetics, the book about self-image. I read that back when I had that 9-to-5 job selling women's shoes. And when I read it, I went from realizing, what is my self-image? How you see yourself is what you get in your reality. If you see yourself as making $30,000 a year, even if you get a $50,000 a year job or something like that, which may not happen because you only see yourself as worthy of $30K a year, or that's your autopilot, You'll sabotage it somehow. That's what happens. We have a paradigm of where we see ourselves, though it's equal to and natural for us. And if it's on a pedestal for us to make more than that, it's like, it'd be so amazing if it happened. It's not natural. And what you want to become aware of is, how are you set? What do you view yourself as? When I viewed myself at that 9-to-5 job selling women's shoes, I realized that my self-image is that I am a average, mediocre employee. And therefore, that was my reality. My thoughts, my emotions, and actions were equal to that version of me. And then what I realized is, wait, every day I go into work, there's a sheet of the salespeople from the day before and what they sold. I'm always in the middle. And a lot of times, in your reality, to know what your comfort zone is, you're already getting a direct reflection of whatever that comfort zone is and whatever that self-image is. So let's just say, where am I right now? Well, I work a 9-to-5 job I don't like. I'm an average employee. Actually, I get in trouble a lot, or this or that. Maybe you're a rep. Maybe you view yourself as a rebel, so you get in trouble. Your self-image is on autopilot, and that's why it's equal to that reality. So me working that 9-to-5 job selling women's shoes and also seeing myself as an average, mediocre employee, that version of me was acting differently than the top salesperson version of me. The top salesperson version of me greeted people differently, interacted differently with customers. Like a nice little chipmunk right outside my door. There's so many chipmunks here in Austin. But what I realized is that it was a different version of me that I could activate at any time by making a choice. So what happened is, all of a sudden, I made a choice. Instead of being this mediocre version of me, I'm going to have the body language of the top salesperson version of me. I'm going to greet every customer, because that version of me would greet every customer. Wouldn't selectively greet only customers I thought were going to buy. I'd greet everybody. It put me in an abundant state. I'd have fun with customers. I would many times take on more than one customer at a time, which we were allowed to do at Nordstrom's. We were not allowed to do that at Barney's. That was like a big shift for me when I went from Nordstrom's, where you're allowed to have like 8 customers at a time, even if sales employees don't have customers, to go into Barney's. And there's so few customers that go through there because it's so damn expensive that if I had a customer and another customer came up to me, I'd have to pass it on to another sales employee. And I remember it was like a challenge for me because I had to learn to do that. But at Nordstrom's, it was fair game. You could have 8 customers and some other sales employee has none, and that's their fault because they're not greeting customers. That's from the perspective, right? But basically, I had to become a new version of me. And then that switched everything. Once I decided it, within days, I was a top salesperson. Because I made a choice of who am I? How do I think, act, and feel as a top salesperson? I just decided to be it. By realizing the old version of me was just autopilot. I can make a new choice at any time. And then I applied that same philosophy to stepping out of my comfort zone on YouTube. And I started to make the daily videos on YouTube, change my self-image, and even more so than just the videos and the algorithm, and the YouTube channel exploded. And within 6 months, there was 100,000 subs, and I was able to quit my job. I started to see myself as like a hard worker. Like I can have an intention and a goal of something that some people even think is like very hard to do or impossible. And I can set my mind on it and I can do it. And having that mentality, having that mindset, what that did for me is mean that anything else that I want to do, I can do. I just have to decide to do it. And I have to commit to it. I started to see myself as a hard worker because my comfort zone before that was I was like thinking better thoughts. I was only focused on thoughts, wasn't focused on feeling or acting. And I was kind of stuck. And I was assuming that the way I'm going to get big on YouTube or anything is someone's going to put me on. I'm going to meet Jack Canfield. I'm going to meet Tony Robbins. And they're literally going to see this shining light in my third eye chakra. And they're going to say, Aaron, oh my God, it gets you on stage right now. That was the imagination I had. But then I realized I need to stop waiting and start being. And part of stop waiting is stop waiting in the comfort zone. And don't just step outside the comfort zone, expand the comfort zone by expanding your identity. This idea just came to me. Your comfort zone is your identity. It is it. It's the same thing. So you don't step out of your identity. You expand your identity to also include, but to expand to even more. This is what changes everything, but you want to make it natural. Now, how do you make it natural? You realize that your identity is this flexible thing already, and you repetitiously take action. The more you do anything, the more familiar it becomes. Some people are afraid to make YouTube videos, like I was. But if you do and you make YouTube videos for 20 in a row, you start realizing that this is pretty normal. And your blocks come up as you do it. You're like, I care what people think. What will my mom think? Well, this thing. The first video I ever put out, I called my mom and had her like it on Facebook because I was worried no one was going to like it. It ended up getting like 17 likes, so booyah! But no, it ended up working out okay? 17 likes reflected back to me that I'm finally worthy. I am enough. I got 17 likes from friends and family. I'm not just some weirdo. But I know it sounds ridiculous. It's being sarcastic, of course. But identity and comfort zone are the same thing. Now, to make it natural, you repetitiously step out of your comfort zone because it's who you are and you are expanding your sense of self. If I were to go to that of the Las Vegas Strip and make videos every single day, after 5 or 10 days, I'd start to get very familiar with it. You're just becoming familiar with a new sense of self. That's what changes everything. I have buddies. I went recently to a live event here in Austin that my buddies invited me to because they run live events all over the world. My friend's name is Owen. He owns this big company. They go around. They teach like confidence and stuff like that. And he's been inviting me to his events for a long time, but he's in town. He's like literally 2 miles away from my house right here. So I go to this event, and it was really cool to see them do their thing because it's like, it's him, but also other people part of his team. But he's been doing live events like every week, 2 or 3 times, like probably 2 or 3 weeks out of the month for like 10 years. When he goes up there to speak in front of over 100 plus people or 200 to 500 people, it's like nothing because it's become a part of his identity. And not only that, he loves it. He absolutely loves it because it's a part of who he is. When I went to this event, it woke me up out of my own comfort zone, my own sense of identity, my own sense of what's familiar to me, because I realized, and I've known this, you guys have heard this on the channel for the longest time. My comfort zone now is just making YouTube videos and doing online courses and stuff, but I'm getting bored and I'm like, I need to step out of my comfort zone. No, I don't. I need to expand my comfort zone by expanding my sense of identity. Remember, comfort zone and identity are the same thing. So me going to this event woke me up because then also I realized that I'm making it much more complex than it is in my head. I talked to one of their lead tech guys and he's like, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. We have 5 camera angles. We have these 2 projectors that go on this side. We have the stage set up like this. And like, he's been running live events with him for like 5 years, but I'm like, oh, it's way more simpler than I thought. Plus the whole time I was up there was a potential that I could get brought up and speak with him, but his voice was going out. So it was like actually kind of a quick like hour and a half talk. He normally does like 6-hour-long talks or like events and stuff, like 4 days in a row. But when I went up there, or when I was there, I just wanted to get on the stage. I was like, what the fuck am I doing back here? This isn't me. Like, I need to do this. Like, it felt excited. Not because of just this one time I step out of my comfort zone. No, I'm going to expand my sense of self. It's not about stepping out of your identity. It's about expanding your identity. And then it becomes natural. And the first 5 or 10 times when he asked me to come to his live event, I remember feeling a little bit of anxiety because he was like, originally it was, I'm going to go and speak at this event. But I was watching Game of Thrones and I had other stuff going on and I rationalized it. And maybe it was blocks. I don't know. That is actually kind of what happened. He invited me out, but it was like an hour it was like 8 at night. And I know his events go till like 2 or 3 in the morning. And I was here watching Game of Thrones and I just got done doing a week launch. Like I was busy. I did 25 hours of live selling like for a whole week. So I was kind of tired. And then eventually I was like, okay, I'm going to, I'll come the next day. So I came on the last day, but I'm glad I did because I learned so much about it. It showed me a lot being there of how I felt. Like I want to get out of my comfort zone. But one of the biggest things you can do to expand your comfort zone is realize, first off, your comfort zone and your identity is the same thing. So you don't want to step outside of your in a way, it's like your old identity of your 9-to-5 job goer. I can tap back into that version of me and remember what it's like to work a 9-to-5 job, but it's not me anymore. I've expanded my sense of self to now be somebody that runs a business, that has a YouTube channel, that travels the world, that does live events. Like this is my new identity. But you want to make it natural. And the way you make it natural is you repetitiously do it. Now, you repetitiously do it, by the way, because it's who you are. Not because it's going to get you the full-time like YouTube channel, not because it's going to get you whatever. You do it because it's who you are. You take your identity with it by realizing your identity, it's just on autopilot. It's just something you choose, you claim. I've seen a lot of people that want to do what I do and like, well, I don't have a coaching certificate. I didn't go to college. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. You put yourself on. You give yourself permission. Nobody's going to put you on. Maybe somebody does. I say, Aaron, what are you talking about? The law of attraction says, maybe. But take ownership into your own hands and move forward knowing that you can create it for yourself. It's more empowering that way too. But what's really made a difference is taking ownership, taking extreme ownership and like realizing I can do this. Just the belief also altogether that you can do it. But who you are is like you can expand yourself, and that changes everything by taking new action and doing it until it becomes familiar to it. And once it becomes familiar, it's just who you are. It's natural for you. And when you do something because of what it'll get you, that's a means to an end. People can feel that. If I was making videos just so that I could get a lot of views, you would feel that and probably have resistant energy. But if I'm making videos because this is who I am, I'm just somebody that adds value, I'm talking about what I like, I'm in the moment, it has a more addictive quality. Am I right? If you feel what I'm saying or you understand, could you like this video or comment below if you want more videos like this as well? Let me know if this is resonating with you. And also let me know if you like, I'm gonna be posting my podcast episodes on Tuesday on the main YouTube channel. Let me know if you like that. If you do, like this video. They're a little bit longer episodes, I know that. Now, the next part of this is you make it natural by expanding yourself to comfort zone, by taking your identity with you and realizing your old identity was just a story anyways. I'm a 9-to-5 job goer. My thoughts, my actions are equal to this. You make a new choice about who you are. That's what I did. At one point, I said, I'm not a mediocre employee. I'm a top salesperson. I'm going to be that version of me. And then repetitiously, I became it. It's just the same thing on YouTube. Became a full-time YouTuber. Now, the next most important part of this is realizing that when you take action, you are going to be getting feedback. You're going to be getting feedback. You're going to start making, like, let's say, I'm using the analogy of YouTube because that's what I did. You can wait around forever to expand your comfort zone, to expand your identity. And you could say, I'm going to do it once all my blocks are removed. That's what I did. I was like, once my block, it took me an extra year and a half to get on YouTube because I'm like, once my blocks go away, once I learn editing, how to edit videos, once I learn how to speak better, once I don't need a script, once I do a little bit more research, once I have a certificate, once I have a degree, you don't need any of those. You make the choice to start and then the blocks will come up, but the blocks are showing you what your beliefs are. Remember, your beliefs create your reality. And you will see reality through your beliefs. There's lenses through which you see your reality that includes those beliefs. And you say, I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, I need other people's validation. Then you will look around and you will be looking for those things and you'll get the reflection back of whatever you believe about yourself. So the key to this is realizing that when you expand your comfort zone, there are blocks that come up. The blocks may be, I really care what people think. That was mine. And then I started realizing, and I reframed it. A lot of these will be reframes too. You're going to reframe shit. I reframed it and realized the more people that I reach, the more hate I will get as well as love. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing that I'm getting negative comments because the negative comments mean I'm reaching people that I normally wouldn't have reached. When, on YouTube, about 10% of the videos get 90% of the views. It's just the way it works. So what happens is I have videos that still to this day have like maybe 2, 3, 4 million views. And I made them years ago. Those videos, when you go, you'll see a lot of positive comments, but sometimes there's negative comments. The negative comments come more on the viral videos because they say, why is this in my suggested feed? What they don't know, this is what they don't know, by the way. Why is this video in my suggested feed? Why am I seeing it? You're commenting on this video, which shows the YouTube algorithm that you are interested in this video. And not only are you interested, but you have an energy that you're going to comment on the video, which means you're going to get similar videos. So if it's like 7 signs you're a Pleiadian starseed unicorn, and you're like, why did this show up in my feed? This is a stupid video that showed up in my feed. You're now going to get 7 other suggested videos that say 17 signs you're a Pleiadian starseed unicorn person. Okay? So that's just what happens. So they don't know that though, but I see that comment and I can say, oh, I'm going to internalize this and think there's something wrong with me. This person doesn't like my videos. No, I've reframed it. It means I'm reaching more people. This is a good thing. So it's all about reframing as these blocks come up. There was one thing we did where I did a challenge recently called the 21-Day Magnetic Love Challenge, where we pretty much go to the 3 core beliefs and we reframe them, we change them, and we heal. As to with our attachment patterns to love, how do we relate to love? Are we anxious? Are we avoidant? Are we secure? And we heal that. Another aspect of this, though, is one of the 3 common limiting beliefs that we have is one, there's a fear of abandonment. We have the abandonment wound, or we feel like we're not worthy, or we feel like we can't trust and we have to control. Those are the big three. And in this 21-day challenge, it was 21 days in a row of unrooting these and transforming our love blocks and also our relationship blocks and self-love. A lot of it is what it was, but it was extremely transformative because you don't just go through this. It's also like you're doing these things, you're watching the videos, but also there's accountability where you do things. Don't want to spoil alert. If you haven't joined, by the way, the 21-day Magnetic Love Challenge, we've had 4,000 people join that. We've had over 10,000 people do the challenges in general. They're completely life transforming. You can watch or look at the testimonial to see what's possible. Click the link below if you want to check that out. But by day 16, something people did is we challenged people to do what's called a stretch experience. A stretch experience is where you go out into public and you do something that you're normally afraid of. And what you realize is that when you do something you're normally afraid of, most of it, like this is what a lot of people did, is they went to a Home Depot and they put on some music and they would dance in the middle of Home Depot, and you'd see people walking around them, and they'd get out of the comfort zone and realize, like, the idea of caring what people think is kind of, you start to reframe it and you start to feel so freaking alive. And the rule is that you had to record it and post it in the group. And everyone had a different stretch experience. Some was doing something outside their comfort zone, like dancing in public. For some people, it's like calling a parent. Some people did a vulnerability challenge where you call a parent or somebody that you love and you talk to them and you let them know, hey, Dad, I've always wanted you to tell me that you're proud of me. I was wondering if I could just hear you say that, or let me know, are you proud of me? Or vulnerability challenge. So there's different levels to it, but people would, either share what happened or show a video if it was something funny, like in public. But people felt so alive. And people felt like they have expanded their sense of identity. And when you do something like this, you then start to reframe your identity of who you are. You start to realize, where have I been holding myself back in my life where I really give a crap about what people think when it comes to me? I'm going to go make that YouTube channel. I'm going to go do this. It changes your sense of self. But the blocks come up, and a lot of people realize I would bring people on, and I did an hour to hour and a half every single day, 21 days in a row of coaching on this. And you bring people up, and I'm bringing people up to coach them on Zoom. And they're saying things like, I realized that the only time I was really afraid was before I did it. When I was actually doing it, I felt alive and good. Funny, isn't it? It's all in the mind. When I used to do forensics debate in high school, the only time I really got nervous was you're waiting outside of these classrooms. Forensics debate is like you're debating different topics, and it's very competitive. And I'm outside with the person I'm going against, and what happens is up comes the judges, and then they open up the room, and we go in, and we're getting ready for the debate. Once you get into the room, there's no nervousness. But before you're waiting outside the room, there's nerves because you're in your head, you're thinking, you're feeling it out, the unknown. But when you step into it, you become bold. That's the second thing, is realizing the blocks will come up. They'll be waiting for you until you take action. But once they come up, you start to expand your sense of self, your sense of identity. Now, there's this one thing I want to show you. If you're listening to this on the podcast, you might not be able to see this, but there's this one thing right here. There's this little chart. Okay, I'm going to kind of point it right here. You'll see it if you're watching the YouTube video on the Aaron Doughty YouTube channel. There's a simple pie chart. I'll explain it, though. On one hand, you have a chart, and there's what you know. What you know is the smallest amount of it. Then there's a little bit of a bigger chunk that says what you don't know. So, for example, I know how to make a YouTube video because I've expanded my sense of self to do it. I know how to use a fork. I know how to go poo-poo pee-pee. I know we learned this when we were babies. I know how to do, there's basic necessities I know. Now, there's also what I don't know. Now, what do I not know? Well, Aaron, do you know how to go do like outdoor hang gliding? I don't know that. I don't know the nuances to that, but I know of it, but I don't know it. Does that make sense? Certain thing, I don't know underwater basket weaving. I know it's a thing, but I don't know how to do it. I know that I don't even know if it's a thing. It's just a funny analogy people say. I know cars, but I don't know how to fix a car. And that's just something I don't know. Now, here's something else. The biggest part of this section is you don't know what you don't know. Think about that. You don't know what you don't know. If you told me about something that I've never heard of before, it's something that's completely out of my awareness. So what you have to do is you have to start to step out of your comfort zone by expanding it, but you have to start doing new things, step into the unknown by expanding into the unknown, I guess, as well. When I first got on YouTube, I was like, how am I going to make this work? I was like, I thought that once I got on YouTube, there's a certain subscriber amount I got to. Once I get to 100,000 subs, then I can be full-time and I'll have abundance. The first 100,000 subs, by the way, I didn't have my AdSense on. I was like, I don't want to make people watch an ad to then watch my videos, and I didn't put ads on to then realize that YouTube actually doesn't share my videos as much unless I have ads on because they want to make money. Then I put ads on, my channel grew quicker. It's a funny paradox, you know. But back in the day, I didn't know how to make money on, I guess they call it internet marketing, when I first got on YouTube in 2017. And then what happened is I was sharing some tips with another YouTuber who had like 30 to 50,000 subs. I had like 150,000 subs. And this guy tells me that he's making $20,000 to $25,000 a month. And he has way less subscribers than me. I'm like, how is he doing this? Well, he told me a book to read and it had to do with internet marketing. And basically he has like, you know, a course that he sold and stuff like that. So I was like, I got to learn this internet marketing stuff. I had no idea that the potential was, so I was motivated. I'm like, you're telling me that instead of making $3,000 a month on like, you know, on these, I had like 15 coaching clients. You're telling me instead of having all this time that I'm using with coaching clients, and I'm not as passionate about one-on-one coaching, that I could do this other thing and learn it and then make way more money, make 20 to 25K. So I started learning that. I started listening to podcasts. I started to expand my sense of comfort by learning new things and then wiring it in by doing it, by modeling it, and by being it. Within a couple months, I was making $20,000 a month. And I expanded my sense, and that changed everything. That changed my life. I then moved into a new house. I moved from my dad's house into a house with friends, and then I lived there for 3 months and realized I can't have roommates. I need my own house. I moved into a 3,000 square foot house in Vegas close to the airport that was like perfect. And I lived there and I was super excited. I could travel the world. And then I remember having $50,000 months. And then from there, I've had, you know, not trying to brag or anything, but I've made a lot of abundance over the last couple of years because I simply took the initiative to learn and to expand my sense of self. And every one of you has the ability to do it, but you have to start stepping and expanding into the unknown. So remember, your sense of identity and your sense of comfort zone is the same thing. Expand it. Jump, like step out of it, but step out of it and expand it and realize it's who you are. And as you try new things, you're going to start to get new feedback. Blocks will come up. Those blocks are a good thing. It's showing you something about who you are. Once you see those blocks, what you then do is you start to release them. You start to let go of the negative beliefs. You start to realize that they were only there to keep you safe. They were there to keep you in the autopilot because the autopilot doesn't require any extra energy. But realize that this is the key to you really creating transformation in your life. The more you step into this new you, the more your life will change. Remember, your life is a direct reflection of who you are. Who you are is a combination of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. And when you start to believe something new is possible for you, you start to take action in a new way. When you start to wire it in, it becomes your reality with repetition. It becomes not just the stepping out of the comfort zone, you expand your comfort zone through repetition. And as you do that, your whole entire life begins to change. So if you haven't checked out the 21-Day Magnetic Love Challenge, this is a powerful way of rewiring these beliefs about you. Click the link below to check it out. Other than that, I hope you guys, if you guys listen to the podcast, by the way, you go to aarondoughty.com/love, aarondoughty.com/love, and you can join the 21-Day Magnetic Love Challenge if you haven't yet. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, peace, much love, and namaste.